This video will show you how to use the updated 2015 standalone version of the Phosphorus Management Tool, or PMT, software. University of Maryland Extension nutrient management advisors and consultants who use NewmanPro should use the PMT that is built into the NewmanPro 4.2 or later software. Consultants who do not use NewmanPro can calculate the PMT using this standalone version. Updates to soil map unit information will require you to reselect soils if you are importing a file from an older version of the standalone PMT. To avoid reselecting soils for both the 2015 standalone PSI and PMT programs, update Psi Files first. The updated 2015 standalone Psi files with soils selected can be imported into the 2015 standalone PMT. First, we will look at the data entry screens, and then we will go over how to import 2015 standalone PSI files into the 2015 standalone PMT. Just like in the standalone PSI, boxes with white backgrounds must be edited by you. Boxes with blue backgrounds populate based on what you enter in white boxes, and boxes with yellow backgrounds calculate values based on information entered elsewhere. Anything in bold text is required and must be entered before the program will either print or provide you with a final PMT score. On the Farmer and Consultant tab, enter the name and address of the farmer for whom you are writing the plan, as well as your certification and license number. Certified farm operators will only have a certification number to enter. If you need to calculate PMTs on multiple fields, add fields to the scenario by clicking the Edit Add Field button. The arrow buttons on the bottom of the screen will allow you to navigate among multiple fields. On the Field tab, enter the county, tract or farm name, field name or number, account ID, watershed ID, dominant map unit symbol for the field, and acreage of the field. The watershed ID can be determined from county maps available from the Maryland Department of Agriculture. Enter aluminum and iron data or the degree of phosphorus saturation from the soil test report. If this information is not available, choose Use Estimated DPS and advise the farmer to request this information the next time soils are analyzed. Clickable buttons on this page allow you to toggle between acres and square feet for field area measurements and to choose a method for entering Russell data. As described in the 2015 standalone PSI video, the Nutrient Management Program strongly recommends that consultants calculate Russell using the Russell 2 software available from NRCS. Using this method, you will calculate a Russell A value, or soil erosion estimate, in the Russell 2 software and will choose option number 3 for entering Russell information into the standalone PMT. With this option selected, you will not have access to the tabs for calculating individual Russell factors, and instead will be directed to the Particulate tab. On the Particulate tab, enter the Russell A value calculated in Russell 2 and select the appropriate values for distance to water and width of vegetative buffer. The particulate P transport risk factor should populate in the box on the lower right-hand side of the screen. If it does not, and the box is filled with asterisks, double-check that you have entered all necessary data. On the Runoff tab, enter the field slope and indicate whether the field is concave by clicking the Yes or No button below. Enter the recommended fertilizer or manure phosphorus. Fertilizer phosphorus is entered in the white box on the left side of the table, and manure or other organic source of phosphorus is entered in the white box on the right side of the table. You can enter information for split applications by entering the total amount in the white box and manually entering the amount that will be put down in the first application. The remaining amount will be shifted to the second application column. This can be done again to shift an amount to the third application column. For each application, indicate the method of incorporation from the descriptions in the table and check the appropriate box in the corresponding application column. If you are applying an organic source of phosphorus, you must also choose the phosphorus source coefficient, which differs for different types of organic amendments based on the amount of soluble phosphorus expected to be in that type of material. At this point, the P transport risk via runoff should be displayed on the bottom of the screen. If no value appears, go back and make sure you have entered all the necessary information. On the Subsurface tab, click the button under Artificial Drainage to indicate whether the field is artificially drained by ditches or tile drains. Choose the fertilizer or organic phosphorus incorporation category that matches the farm practice. Note that these categories are not the same as the options on the Runoff tab. With this information entered, your subsurface phosphorus risk loss should populate, as should the overall P-loss rating for the field, with an explanation of the corresponding low, medium, or high category. It is important to note that this rating is based on the information that has been entered into the program, so if a manure application rate or other practice changes, you must rerun the PMT to determine the score under the new management plans. To import a 2015 standalone PSI file into the 2015 standalone PMT program, click the Open File icon and navigate to the Save PSI file on your computer. If PSI files are not visible, you may have to change the type of file displayed to PSI files. Much of the data from PSI will transfer to PMT. For example, the information on the Farmer and Consultant tab and most of the information on the Field tab will transfer. You will have to enter aluminum and iron data or the lab DPS if supplied by the soil test report. Make sure you have selected either Use Lab DPS or Use Estimated DPS as appropriate for the field. Improper selection will prevent a final calculation of the PMT score. On the Particulate tab, you will have to reselect Distance to Water and Width to Vegetative Buffer, as these options have changed between the PSI and the PMT. On the Runoff tab, you will have to recheck your data, but data on this page should be populated and you should see a Runoff P-Transport risk score on the bottom right-hand side of the page. On the Subsurface tab, you will have to select the method and timing of manure application. Remember, these options are not the same as those on the Runoff tab. At this point, the total PLOS rating should populate in the box on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. If it does not, go back and check that you have entered all data correctly. It is always a good idea to double-check your fields when you're importing a PSI file into the PMT program to make sure that all information is correct. That brings us to the end of this tutorial on how to use the 2015 standalone PMT software.